Hey, it's Aaron, the Metal Theologian, and looks like the lighting's a little better than last time, which is a good thing. So check it out. I haven't been able to decide if I like this record or not. So we're going to listen to it together tonight. I'm sort of going to think about this one. It's a little bit weak for my taste, like sort of on the wussy department. I mean, the cover's kind of soft, but I don't know, man. A lot of people with good taste seem to really appreciate this record, and even though it's on a big label, it's on Vertigo, and even though they're Norwegian, in the 80s, most of the great bands were Swedish, in contrast to the 70s, where most of them were Norwegian, and the Swedes were kind of lame. Yeah, we're just going to give it another shot, because, I don't know, man, I feel like I want to like this record. It isn't really any weaker than, that Q5 record, Steal the Light, which I think is fantastic, So we'll see if I get my head around it with this listen. And hey, since I'm shitting on records right out of the gate, actually, let's talk about this one by this band Neptune, who's Swedish, actually. In contrast to what I just said, that's not showing up too well. It's kind of dark, but this is a reissue of a couple demos by this band. The band's called Neptune, and the record's called Land of Northern. And this has some charm. I mean, it sounds really Swedish in that it has that really sort of Swedish, vocal style, you know what I mean? There's some really distinctly Swedish about the bands in the 80s, that sort of Heavy Load or Europe or I don't know, there's just this earnestness, even with a band like Mercy or something like that, you hear it. This is it's just kind of wussy, man. The songs aren't really all that hot, and the ballads are terrible and interminable, and I don't know, man. I mean, it's not awful, I'm not going to throw it away. You'll note that I haven't, broken it in half. You see, it's still one piece, right? But yeah, but it's not good, man. This kind of gets the thumbs down. I mean, maybe someday I'll come back around and go, oh my god, that's great, but don't expect it anytime soon. And actually, an interesting contrast is this record, which I kind of just dug out. U8, I think they're Austrian, these guys actually. Pegasus 1001. Not a particularly promising title, but man, this record just has some sort of party metal moves to it. But it's not really like a party metal record. It's just kind of like a straight up heavy metal record with a little bit of that sort of AC/DC boogie in there, but really just enough to sort of propel the thing forward and not bog you down in sort of the sameness of boogie metal shit. And the songs are good, man. It's a fun record. It leaves you wanting more, man. So overall, these guys don't get talked about very much. I don't think I've ever heard anyone talk about U8 in the video before, but this record's really good, man. So, yeah. That's a pretty enthusiastic recommendation here in the Beer and Jesus archive here in the Metal Theologian channel. So what else is going on? I think we'll do a little bit of this and that, and then we'll do a little bit of band highlight. Well, something, let's alright, so I had a little kind of a difficult week at work last week, right? So I have to bust out the heavy shit, right? So I actually, the first one I reached for is the one I tend to reach for in the circumstances, man. Hell Awaits. I don't know, man. I can't really say, metaphysically that I like this record any better than the first one or Rain and Blood. But I don't know, for some reason I find myself reaching for this one. The song that I sort of have in my head that I sort of need to hear when I'm in that sort of space is the song Hell Awaits, man. And yeah, and it's just perfect, man. Just the first three Slayer records, just perfect, start to finish, man. At Dawn They Sleep, you can't argue with that. Praise of Death, goddamn. Yeah, so awesome. So from there, I actually pulled this one out because this is a pretty heavy record, especially compared with the first Psy record, which is, not bad, but I don't know. Well, it's funny because that was on Metal Blade. This one was private, but this one's so much more rockin'. I can kind of do without the sweet cover on this one, but overall, man, this is a good record. If you look at those guys, this record is a lot heavier than those guys look. This record fucking smokes. pretty sure they're Canadian. Wings Have Changed by Psy. It's their second record. It's harder to come by than the first one because the first one was on Metal Blade. It's also much better, and it's harder to come by, but it's not like some mega rarity that's going to cost you $100 or anything like that. So don't freak out. So my real band of the week though was Kreator. And this is a record in that process I've reassessed. This fucking record is awesome, okay? I played this record every day this past week, sometimes twice. And when I got this, I just felt like it was sort of a paler version of Terrible Certainty or Pleasure to Kill. But it's just its own thing. It's like it's moved on to a different level. And it's like, yeah, it's recorded for Epic, okay? And so the production is a little bit more competent, you know what I mean? It doesn't have that sort of just total like rawness that you hear on those first couple, but that's really not to its detriment at all, man. It's just a little bit different, you know? So yeah, man, Extreme Aggression gets 2 enthusiastic thumbs up by Kreator. Let's show the other ones too, because like I said, I was comparing it with Terrible Certainty, which is right here, and it's fucking awesome. And there's total. I was trying to pull out my favorite song here. I can't remember what it's called, but you know, Storming with Menace, realistically, because that was like those are the best titles. Terrible Certainty isn't bad either. I mean, you know, you can tell it wasn't a native English speaker who came up with that. Fucking on this one, it's Riot of Violence all day long, man. Fucking Pleasure to Kill, man. You can't argue with that. Kreator, man. Oh, the title track, man. Pleasure to Kill. You can't argue with that one either, man. Or Command of the Blade. Great record. This one's a 10 out of 10, man. Unequivocally. And actually, this one, I probably like the least of the lot, the first one. You know, I tend to gravitate towards debuts, you know what I mean? But this is the one that, like, I kind of kept coming back to before I really got my head around Kreator. And, just kind of had trouble, like, getting, you know what I mean? And there's still some great songs on here, man. Tormentor, Flag of Hate. There's all sorts of good shit on this record, but it's just so rough. It's sort of like the first Living Death in that regard, I suppose, you know what I mean? It's so rough that it kind of impedes the listen a little bit more than you'd like it to. Sort of like this instrumental interlude. Because, you know, when you're reassessing a TNT record, one of the things you really want to make sure that you're aware of is that Ronnie Letecro can play a sensitive little interlude on the guitar. Yeah, alright, good. If it didn't go back in this direction, I would have been kind of pissed. Well, pissed is putting it strongly, but this is such a dated sounding riff. The pacing of it, the boom, boom, boom. You know what I mean? It's so there's certain things like that you hear in these records that didn't seem dated at the time. Like, you know, like with all the deal where you're like repeating the chorus and all the instruments drop out except the drums and you keep repeating the chorus. Back in the 80s, that already sounded dated. That was an 80s thing, and it was already dated before it had run its course in the 80s, okay? Like, some of these things are more subtle than that, and I kind of appreciate that in a way, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's good. It just means I kind of find it amusing, I guess. So, talk about a couple others here from some further reaches of the earth. This guy's, I've really actually had no business talking about this band. It should be Noise Spectrum talking about this band on his channel where he talks about the Yugoslav bands. But Anathema, I assume it's pronounced. It's not spelled right in English, but maybe it is in, God, where are these guys even fucking from? Novi Sad. Yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe in Serbo-Croatian, that's how you spell Anathema, but... Anyway, this really isn't a great record, but it really is a good record. It's very amateurish. You know, it kind of looks about like them, you know what I mean? Brimming over with sincerity. More sincerity than competence, I suppose. But, you know, I'll take sincerity over competence any day of the week, is the reality. And this is a fun record to listen to. It's, after a side, I'm kind of ready for a break. I'll be honest. Doesn't mean I can't listen to it all the way through, but it's sort of a record where it's best to play a side, then play something else for a minute, and then come back to it. For the other side, there's really all the songs on here are good, man. Like Loud, Proud, and Deaf, you know? And Steel in My Breath, and Burn in a Flames. But, yeah, it does all sorts of things right, it just does them a little bit weird right, you know what I mean? It's like, it gets from here to here, but it kind of goes around this way a little bit. In fact, I'm going to throw this around for a minute. TNT, I'm hanging with TNT. I think I'm starting to get this record, okay? Let's give it the verdict. Let's give the Yugoslavs a chance here, man. Fucking Norwegians. Everyone knows about Norway, right? Fucking, who cares about Norway anymore? Especially with all the black metal shit, man. Norway just makes us yawn anymore, right? I'm angling for thumbs downs from all my Norwegian viewers. All 2 of them. Maybe 1. No, seriously, I was enjoying this record. I think I'm starting to get my head around, which is why it's been sitting out here instead of going back to the wall of shame. When I got that thing, I was like, man, what a fucking turd. And, you know, pull it out periodically and sort of did that whole thing that I talk about doing. And, you know, after a while, it started growing on me, so. But Anathema is the band you need to hear today. Because I think this is what y'all tune in here for. Let me show this fantastic cover once again. Absolutely fantastic, right? Not bad at all. Fucking come right out of the gate, no fucking around, right? You start meandering a little bit in a bit. Like, one of the things I noticed about this record is, like, they'll put, like, the screams in places where it doesn't quite seem like they really belong. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of what I was trying to get there with going from here to there. So it's, like, totally solid riff, cool chorus, kind of like Eastern European, kind of vaguely, like, foreign and intimidating sounding. Great, you know? Another part, they get points for fucking going right into another part there and sort of doing that prog thing as far as the song construction. There we go. Alright, so this next record I got to show. The showing of this record is dedicated to Mr. Metal Ron Haggerty. So I want to only count Raven record, which is really a little bit longer than I wish it were. But it's a very cool record, man. It's just really kind of a classic doom sound, even more than like St. Vitus. It's like, if you don't know what St. Vitus actually sounds like, I think this is what you might imagine them sounding like, you know what I mean? It's got a little bit more of that sort of monotony going to it than like a St. Vitus record really does. I think St. Vitus is the best touch point, but I wouldn't say a Candlemass is monotonous at all, if that's not your comparison point. It kind of, there's not as much of a way of peaks and valleys as I would like on this record, you know what I mean? It kind of hits a groove and kind of stays with it for long songs, but it's a cool groove and it's a good record. Maybe not the kind of record that I'm going to put on and go and just analyze, you know, but it's a record I'll put on and enjoy for absolute sure. So yeah, it's another piece in my not very sizable doom metal collection. This is great right now, by the way, isn't it? We'll see if it stays on long enough to get some weirdness. So speaking of weirdness, man, I went on a little bit of a mini Judas Priest kick, too, so So much so that I pulled out this one. I fucking hated it, man. Like, there are parts of this record, like Locked In is a song I remember liking. I hated it, dude. When I was playing this before, I was like, what a piece of shit, man. And then when I was looking at Private Property, Parental Guidance, and Rock You All Around the World in a row, I was like, yeah, that's coming off, man. Fuck that thing. I couldn't hack it. I mean, I joke sometimes about, like, putting on a record and just playing it all the way through to see if I can hack it. I couldn't hack Turbo. I really couldn't. I got a song and a half in. And the song I only made it halfway through is my favorite song on the record, so that's bad, man. This one, though, is kind of the one that started it off. And, I might have talked about this before, but I feel I have a weird relationship with this record because I used to have it on tape long ago, and the first song was Breaking the Law. And later on, I ended up buying it on record, and I couldn't find an original of it, so I ended up going for this reissue, which at the time I didn't notice had the European track listing, so it starts with Rapid Fire, and I swear having that song first makes the whole thing heavier. This record is just better with Rapid Fire, followed by Metal Gods, and then Breaking the Law doesn't sort of ease it out too much before you go into Grinder, you know? Then United is kind of a turd, but the rest of it's great too. Living After Midnight, ultimate tweaker anthem, in case you have never noticed before. Once you hear it, you can never not hear it. Fantastic record. Awesome. And it's funny, because a lot of times I talk about the 70s Judas Priest, but these simpler albums, I just kind of love, man. This one's great. Okay, Take These Chains sucks. But other than that, man, even the bad songs on here, I can dig Bloodstone, Pain and Pleasure, Fever. Fantastic. Absolutely a milestone of a record right here, Screaming for Vengeance. And I've said this before, but I actually like this one even more, man. Defenders of the Faith. I don't think there's a bad song on this record. And in fact, I think the outro, where it goes from Heavy Duty into that Defenders of the Faith outro, is just perfectly executed, man. I have a friend who thinks that this has the worst snare drum sound of any record. I think he may be right, but I still think it's just fine, man, because the fucking record is perfect. It's unbelievable. And on the other end of the spectrum here, I busted this one out too. And this record sucks, man. Every time I listen to this one, it's like, man, maybe I'll get it this time, but everything sucks. You Say Yes sucks, Hot Rockin' sucks, Don't Go sucks, Desert Plains is kind of good. It's actually really good. Solar Angels is kind of good. I don't know, man, it all sucks. It's just bad. I don't understand, man. It's kind of weird. Alright, what else we played? See, I'm almost getting close to 20 minutes in. Just throw a couple of thrash records I've kind of been working on digesting. This is Despair. This is a little bit late. This is a German one from 92. And this one is very... this has actually been sitting here for a while because I've been trying to figure out how to describe it. And I still... Sorry about the scratching, by the way. I still don't know that I can, man. It's just... it's so unusual. I mean... The cover kind of clues you in, you know? I mean, you got the skulls there, right? But you also have that weird sort of pattern, you know? Like that, I don't know if it's an insect or what that's supposed to be, or maybe a rib cage. This is definitely like a German thrash record, but instead of that sort of usual Germanness, it has like this like extra layer of darkness on top of it. But part of how that manifests is in these kind of, long to the point of kind of meandering sort of intros and sort of interludes and sort of like parts to sort of, you know, take you away from the metal for a little while before sort of coming back into it, if that makes sense. And it's a little bit of an adjustment to really sort of get your head around this record, but it's been worth the effort for me, man. It's a really good record. Despair Beyond All Reason, yeah. It's fucking solid. And finally, there's another German one that blew me away. This is actually the band that Faithful Breath became. Sorry. When thrash kind of became a big thing. They made this comedy-looking record, reformed as Risk. and it's the Daily Horror News, and with that cover, if I hadn't heard fucking glowing praise of this thing, I wouldn't have given it a chance. Well, guess what? It's awesome, man. It's tremendous, man. The fucking vocals are ferocious. The speed is all there and all the way through. There's a little bit of goofiness in here with like some headlines and shit like that getting read, like sort of political commentary or something like that. But you know, it doesn't really spoil the overall aesthetic, man. And like at root, this record is just fucking heavy and great. So yeah, Risk is totally worth checking out if you like that German shit. Although, I just said if you like that German shit, they don't really bleed the German scene. They sounded a lot more German when they were Faithful Breath. So like Skull sounds a lot more German than that record. That one just sounds fucking heavy. In fact, I wouldn't say this one sounds American either. It just kind of sounds like it came out of nowhere, really. It doesn't fit with the German shit. It doesn't fit with any of the other shit either. I got a couple more here. Kind of waiting for these guys to get really weird. Marvel, the Spanish band. Not the heaviest thing ever, but very good, man. And it comes back to what I kind of feel like I say a lot. It's just really good songs. That's kind of a weird cover too, isn't it? Fucking anglerfish or whatever it is. Yeah. Again, some kind of, sort of, maybe a little bit party metal moves, but not really anywhere near like party metal per se. You know, this is like by my standards. You know what I mean? I hate that shit. So. Yeah, it's just cool. It took me a couple listens to really come to dig this one, man. Like, it's a little bit of a creeper, you know. At first, just sort of kind of went by, didn't really do much. But a couple listens, like, yeah, at least the songs are there, man. It's just kind of cool to listen to. And there are a lot of clunkers from Spain, too, man. I mean, Obus really kind of sucked, and... Yeah. Yeah, see, here I feel like these guys lost their way a little bit. What's this? I think this is Burn in a Flames. Unless it's Killer Machine. No, it's Burn in a Flames. Oh, fuck, my feet are falling asleep. Damn. Ah, shit, man. Getting old here. Alright, let's see. 22 minutes. We're going to show two more, alright? Winch. Lousy name. Decent cover. Crap bad cover. And this is about as party metal as I get, because by my standards, this is total party metal, and it's great, man. The songs are fucking awesome. In fact, I'll fire this up for a sec. Because I feel like I keep talking about this now, and it's like, if I actually throw something in here, then you'll know what I'm talking about, because I swear, I'm not talking about fucking Poison or Winger. I mean, that shit doesn't even exist to me. Yeah, that's just like... Like to me, talking about, like, you know, Warrant, obviously not the German Warrant, talking about, it's like Cherry Pie Warrant, that's like talking about fucking New Edition to me or something like that. Like, it just doesn't really exist in my universe, you know? So, yeah, I mean, look at that. These fucking stupid-ass caricatures of them, like they're cute or something. Fuck them. The one song is it's called This Side and That Side. I mean, it's like they do all the fucking, like, annoying, cliched shit. But it's still awesome. So they get forgiven. It's like glam writing, but it's played heavy. I've said that before. I love this kind of shit. This record's fantastic, man. Dude, Meet Your Beat Records Come on, man. But it's great. What are you going to do? Alright, so last we're going to talk about is a Dutch one called Vault. And I don't know, man, the Dutch tend to disappoint me when it comes to metal. I wish it weren't so, but it kind of is. Now, this cover certainly is not a disappointment, because if you look at it up close, there's nothing there but sheer quality. But I'm happy to say that even though the first couple times I listened to this, it kind of just went by me and didn't do a lot, it's really kind of inept in a way where the charm just won me over. And it's like, now I dig this and go, you know, some of these songs are really pretty okay. And it's like, it kind of feels like they're bungling their way through it to a certain degree, but it's just great, man. So, I don't know, man. This is a reissue on Eat Metal. Originals of this are kind of expensive. I wouldn't cough up for an original, but if you find this thing for, you know, whatever it goes for these days, it probably isn't that much, and you have a sense of humor, it was a good record, man. And they're not making fun of you, and it's like your buddies may started a band or something, and you kind of know they kind of suck, and they kind of know they kind of suck, but you really dig what they're doing, and you're really happy for them anyway, you know what I mean? That's what Vault sounds like, and so I'm giving Vault my thumbs up, you know? Because, you know, there's no more escape. So, yeah, on that happy note, I think we'll close things off. See, our Metal Theologian standard is a total glam. Just going to start the next one. Four songs on this record, this Winch record. That's great. Right on. Thanks for watching. See you next time.